like mine who likes to chew on the leaves and destroy them, terrariums might be the thing for you. With us now on Hello Rose City is Kylo Montez, a terrarium specialist and instructor at Roosevelt's Terrariums. Hello.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for bringing this stuff. Do you want to briefly explain what a terrarium is for people who might not know?
Sure. Terrarium is a self-sustained ecosystem. So you have living, ideally tropical rainforest plants in there, things that prefer high humidity and high heat. Things that don't necessarily do well as houseplants can thrive in a contained ecosystem. People consider them something like a fad from the 70s, but it's actually got a pretty long and storied history, and it's a great way to have plants that otherwise would be really difficult to keep in your home.
Yes, and you say that terrariums can almost live forever, right?
Hypothetically, yeah. I think the oldest living terrarium is just over 50 years.
Wow.
None of the ones in our shop are that old. I think our oldest is about 2.5, but we're extremely competitive, so we're shooting for about 51.
Best of luck to you.
Yeah.
Do you want to start? Let's build one.
Oh,
if we
totally.
can.
Yeah, I have everything here. So we start with what's called a drainage layer. It's
Okay.
2 parts. It's lava rock, which is a porous rock to retain moisture, and charcoal, which is going to filter out. Since you're not adding much new water into it, that filters out anything that you wouldn't want in the water, like fungal bacteria, microbes, things like that. The next step is going to be your soil. I brought a bag with me. Usually we just have a tub. Going to add in just enough to plant things into there. And then I've got my tools with me. Depending on the size of the container, sometimes you can just get your hand in there.
Yeah.
I've got some tools because obviously I'm not going to be able to fit my hand in there.
Yeah.
Nothing particularly specialized, just dowels, paintbrushes, stuff you can find around the house.
Because you, at your store, you do sell kits and things, but you also sell these items individually, right? So you can make them at home if you want.
Totally, yeah. There's basically 2 different approaches you can take. If you already have a container that you have the idea of making your own terrarium, you can just come pick up plants, supplies, we have all of that. Or if you're totally new to it and it just sounds like something you want to take a swing at, we sell full kits with glass, everything you need to put into it, plants and everything.
Got it. And you do workshops as well, right?
Yeah, we teach classes several times a week, more on the weekends and then throughout the week. And then on Fridays, we have what we call our happy hour, where people can just come in and just sort of free form, make whatever they'd like.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how much dirt are you putting in right now? Does that matter? Is that part important?
Yes, it depends on the size of the container. We say to aim for roughly 25% as a general rule of thumb, so about half of a half is how I explain it during my classes. And that's going to be enough for me to get my plants in. I've already prepared a good amount here. I've got a spiderwort, I've got a creeping ficus, and a ponytail palm, and that's going to be enough to fit in there.
Very cool.
So I'm using my tweezers here, creating a little divot with this wooden dowel, and just enough space for me to get it in there. And once this is planted, that is the scientific definition of a terrarium. I could put a lid on this and be done. Everything else is extra.
And so is there a method to, do all the plants get along together? Can you kind of put whatever you want in there?
We recommend high humidity rainforest plants. So any of the plants you'll get at our shop are going to be great in a terrarium. They'll all get along really well. Some of them are a little bit more difficult than others. Usually the really colorful, dramatic ones are a little bit more delicate and tricky to work with. I refer to them as the divas of the plant world.
And so you're putting a rock in there, so you can put other little items in there too, not just plant life.
Oh, of course, yeah. We sell little ceramic gnomes I find people really like, seashells if you want to do like a beach scene or something like that. The limit is really only your imagination.
Yeah, I love that. I love that part about it. So what is the deal with Teddy Roosevelt? He's your logo, so obviously there's a connection, yeah?
Yeah, I do get that a lot. So he's the namesake of our store mostly because of his commitment to preservation and restoration of things like the National Park Service, his dedication to plant life, and thinking of what we're doing here is, displaying and conserving plants. Also, the dude was just really into terrariums.
Okay, fun fact for you. I didn't know that. Okay, and so can you just put as many plants as you want in there? I see that some have not very many, but others have a ton.
There's really no upper limit. I recommend doing a 1/3 plants, 1/3 moss, 1/3 rocks, but it's really as much as you want. During our classes, I tell people if they want to get their money's worth and just cram it full as many plants as possible, you can do that.
Okay.
But these are living things, so you want to leave a good amount of space for things to grow into because they are going to change over time, and I like to leave a lot of open space. Some of these I made myself recently, and I like to leave a lot of room for them to grow and change over time. That's just part of the fun of it for me. But it's very much the territory of happy little accidents. There's no right or wrong answer to anything.
That's very
just do whatever you want.
Bob Ross of you.
Oh, yeah.
So you're putting in the moss now. What was this? This is just some sand?
Yeah, that's just a decorative piece.
Okay,
I say the more rocks you add, the easier it's going to be to care for. It's very difficult to kill a rock.
Good point. But let's talk about caring for it real quick. So do you water it once and then set it and forget it, or what?
Generally, so when you first build your terrarium, you're going to water it one time, and then after that, you're going to do it again in about a week to 10 days. The reason for that is that we water the perimeter of the glass, and it draws all that moisture into the center. So once you hit it again, you're going to have a fully saturated layer of soil in there. And once you get your lid on, depending on the tightness of the lid, you won't need to water it again for upwards of a year, at most maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
And sunlight, probably. They need sun, yes?
Bright, indirect sunlight. So you want a north or east facing window, something where you don't want to have the sun directly hitting the jar because that's going to warm up and dry out your jar. But office lighting is totally fine, skylights, anything that's going to be able to see a lot of direct light without getting hit with the sun. That's the main thing.
Got it. Very cool. Well, if people want to come take a class, where can they find you?
Yeah, they can check us out online. We are all over the place. There's the Roosevelt's website. We've got a lot of presence on Instagram. It's at Roosevelt's PDX. We've got a pretty active TikTok channel as well.
Okay, good to know.
And they're also welcome to call us. You can call or text. Our store phone's an iPhone.
Awesome, sweet. And then did we complete the terrarium?
I'm going to call this done once I get these rocks in here and pop the lid on. And that is a terrarium.
So easy. We did that in like 5 minutes. Well done, Kylo.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right.